Namaskar again, everyone. Uh, just started the recording. I see we have like around 10 people on the call. So let's get started. We had initially, wanted to start on time, but this is good. 5 minutes over 10. Um, so last week we had our first discussion in the study circle, and there were like a few suggestions. Uh, let's just do 1 minute of ideation before we get started. Namaskar. So last week we had our first meeting. Thank you for everyone who joined, and there were a few suggestions that had come. So we had a lot of discussion internally. So we will be having a live discussion today. That was something that clearly came up, and it's a good idea. So what we will do is that last week we went like around the room asking everyone to talk about the topic. What we'll do is, so we still want like everyone to participate. So this time, what we would like to do is that we would like to give like 2 minutes to everyone to kind of share, what they felt about the topic, what are the top points that they want to discuss in the live discussion. So something for all of us to kind of share in 2 minutes, and then we'll actually have a timer as well to kind of, and it'll be on the screen so that everyone is able to see the timer and be able to just concisely kind of talk about what they took away from this topic in those 2 minutes. So that way there is a more participation. But then with just 10 participants, so 10 times 2, 20. So we will be kind of done around, maybe say, in 20 25 minutes. And then we will have like at least 30 minutes of open live discussion. And if need be, we can also kind of add extra time into the meeting to kind of make sure that everyone is able to kind of talk actually what they want to do. Any questions before we can get started?
Yeah, for the for the timer, you will see the timer on my screen, and it also gives you an indication. So, like 45 seconds before 2 minutes, you will see like a yellow. The timer will become yellow, and then 30 seconds before the time ends, it will become red. So that means that like around 30 seconds before 2 minutes, you need to start summarizing what your idea is.
Yeah, thank you. It's just some time management, and then also I think a good training for like people to be able to summarize, a topic in 2 minutes. So hopefully, that will go well, but we'll see. So I, so so are there any volunteers who would like to start first? So obviously a very very beautiful topic this week as well. I loved it. I've been associated with Proud, a lot of classes and lot of kind of symposiums, but reading directly Baba, such a beautiful topic. I really loved it. So the topic is social psychology. So any volunteers who would like to go first with like summarizing and taking away like what they understood from the topic and what they'd like to discuss in the live discussion? Okay, if not, then we just go around the table. We just thought that, if some people, want to kind of, move forward first. So why don't we start with you, Mahesh, today? You joined the meeting first, so we give the honor to you to, to start.
Namaskar. Thank you. Um, well, to me, this discourse is what Baba is saying is how to say quite clear. It's just common sense. It is very kind of fundamental and the basis of a let's say healthy society. Um, So I don't have any particular questions or thoughts what to say, but maybe a question to everybody and kind of what I'm wondering and what I'm thinking about. Um, how to implement what Baba is saying here. This is kind of the goals. What is the let's say maybe an ideal society, but how to what is the best way to implement it, how to go about it, how to convince people who have a prejudice and who are against some of these things. What is the best way to of going about that? I'm interested what other people are other people's thoughts are on that, who have more experience and know much more than me about these things. Um, because from my personal life, when talking one on one, it's sometimes difficult to argue with someone who is very set in their ways and has irrational arguments. So, what is the best way to go about that? Thank you.
Wonderful, wonderful, great points. Uh, Manavendra, should we go with you next?
Um, Actually, I have no any thoughts right now in my mind. It is as it's yes, it is just very good, brave, common sense. So I want to just listen of others. I will skip.
Yeah, sure. Okay, next. Sorry, I see. Oh, Didi Vinita. Didi Vinita, do you want to go next?
Namaskar. So I thought, like the first brother said, that some of this was common sense, and the question remains how to implement it. I would also like to add that I thought this translation of Sangha Chadwan given here was a very nice translation. And here in the United States, we don't need to work so on a caste-less society, but we need to work towards a non-racist society. And there's already many opportunities, I think, to work against racism in the United States that present to us almost every day, um, in our own personal lives, in legislation that is being passed locally. Those of us who have citizenship, I know it's for people from India, it's difficult to get citizenship here. But for myself, I have citizenship and I can sometimes submit a what's called a witness slip to support certain legislation, or I can make my voice heard about neighborhood issues related to housing and shopping and things like that that have racist effects on people. And regarding no capital punishment, again, that's another area that we can work on here in the United States, because in some states, capital punishment still exists. We can work towards legislation to end that now. We don't have to wait until Prout starts. And And especially with the new president-elect Trump, I think he wants to not only reinstitute capital punishment, but he wants it to be televised. And I think that's really, really awful. And regarding implementing and convincing other people, I don't think it's necessary to get into arguments with other people. We should, I guess it's almost time's up. Okay. But present to those people who already have some awareness and consciousness who are ripe for Prout. Thank you. Namaskar.
Wonderful points. Thank you, Dini. Okay, let me see who else is there. Okay, Sister Margavi, should we go with you next?
Namaskar to everyone. When I started reading this topic, the first thing was like I was reading about unity and a common idol. That part when I before I'm reading this also, I was telling my daughter how to be like it's Brahma is everywhere, but after I reading this, I got emotional because it is so deep. Baba is telling even the wars can avoid till even I just read that line. It disappears when the dangers of war diminishes. So that's how deep Baba is uh, teaching us. Like it's the uh, and one more thing was about. Uh, discipline in that part, like you cannot change any laws unless you should follow obediently, you should follow all the laws, and then he goes through all the laws and he find out any something is wrong in that law, he can change, like he can write to say if that laws are right or wrong. That part I liked it all the topics, but this made me a little bit uh, more concerned. I don't know how to tell, but it's in my mind. And one more thing was about one and this social that caste-less, that part I actually even the superior Baba is explaining about, even they think themselves as a superior, even that community also they'll face a conflict. Even uh, I can see. Huh? Uh-huh. Yes. Oh, Dada, I think my time is up, so it's okay. I'm really hard to express myself. I'm reading, but I don't know how to express in front of so many people. Next time I will write it down and then I'll come back to you clearly. The point which I'm in my mind, I can express it next time maybe.
First
Yeah.
of all, Didi, you're expressing very well. It's a very simple, powerfully way you are explaining. So yes, no worries on that. So thank you so
Thank you,
much.
Dada. Thank you, Dada.
Okay, next is Sister Sharada Devi. No, don't have Didi on
Namaskar.
cam. Yeah, we
I
don't.
have a bit problem with my laptop. I think can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear
Yeah,
you.
okay.
Go,
It's
go,
okay now.
go.
Namaskar.
We can see you now.
I would like to discuss the topic that all those points that are given here in front of us, they are almost like a common points. Like there are many people in the world who never heard about Prout who would argue for something like that. Maybe they would omit one point, maybe spiritual practice, maybe something else. But those are not some new things that Baba kind of invented. Uh, that's what I think. Even putting them all together, I don't think that's the new as well, because some form of spiritual path, practice, religions, they do have that. And most of the religions, if not all, have most of those elements. my question is how to implement that. Society is very fractured. Ananda Marga's organization is fractured. Obviously, the problem is not in the theory, but the problem is how to implement that theory, how to turn it into practice. And that's what I would kind of hope to be something we can discuss about. Because those are inspirational material, but that inspiration is not enough to change or to make some kind of movement towards the changing of the society in the future. That's all.
Right. I'm sure we'll discuss that. And it's just also that this is just the second week of the study circle, as we know that this study circle itself has 12 topics. There are many more topics, so I'm sure that a lot of these answers as to how to implement. In fact, I had the same question: how to implement? How do we get to this ideal state? Because is it too idealistic? Because nowhere have we seen like such a spiritual society. So I have the same questions, but and I'm hoping a lot of the answers which we will try to find today will also be kind of coming to us as we continue to read, because this is just 1957. Okay, I see Didi's hand up. You want to say something?
Just because I just want to clarify, I don't think it's idealistic, but the approach, just staying in a theory, it's not doesn't make a change. And I think the answers don't come through kind of dwelling upon the text, but more through, through concrete action, let's say, and through making some decisions into doing this or that, and then trying it, making mistakes, etc. So nothing is ideal. Even theory is not ideal. Uh, like everything has its possibility to go wrong. So I think that's because we have today, like 70 years since Baba, almost 70, said that, people who were around Ananda Marga for so long, they didn't find the way. So we obviously there is something we need to do to make a step towards it. Sorry. Namaskar.
Yeah, that word of idealistic was my view actually. So it interspersed my view with a lot of that. So yeah, you didn't say that, but yeah, let's keep moving. Okay, the Didi Shrija, do you want to go next? Okay, Didi Shrija is still on mute, so I don't know if she's able to hear us. Yes,
Yeah.
muted now.
Dada, I wouldn't be able to talk, but I'm listening.
Okay,
Okay.
Didi, no problem. No
Talk
problem.
to you.
So let's now come to Mayanji. Would you like to share?
Namaskar, everybody. Let me start my timer here. Okay, one thing, there are many things that Baba is talking about we need to do in terms of changing the social psychology. But one text that I want to point out is in page number 8. Baba says, in the spiritual field too, ignorant people have been forced to do so many things only because of their deep-rooted superstition of heaven and hell. All of these only disturb people's psychic equilibrium and bring discord and anxiety in society. So I think for psychic equilibrium in society, this dogma of heaven and hell has created so much affliction in people. For example, one religious group, it says that, okay, we need to fight holy wars. If I kill certain number of non-believers, I'm going to heaven and I'll have a life where I can indulge in sensual pleasure. And then there's another group which thinks that, okay, if I donate so much money for my religious organization, I can buy my way to heaven. Or if I'll commit some sin, I will be banished to hell for eternity. I'll never have a second chance. So really, we need to fight with these superstitions and dogmas because this disturbs society so much. And of course, Baba has said not to attack any religion. We need to do it really in such a way that we rationalize with such dogmatic people. Because if you really start attacking them, they will be even more hardened. They will not be ready to change. So that's some text that really caught my eye, and I wanted to share that. Namaskar.
Wonderful. Um, Rajendra Dada.
Yeah. Namaskar. I too agree that whatever Baba has said is quite common sense and acceptable. Common sense means it's acceptable to all. But the big question is how to implement it. I agree. And then it's a very ideal situation. But rightly Didi said it is quite inspirational, but not enough to change the society. So thing is, we have to first, I think we should prepare first ourselves. Ourselves preparation means whether we or individually I am following the ideology strictly so that when I speak in society about this ideology, it should have impact. It will impact only when I am an ideal person according to this philosophy. The second practical things which I feel, and we discussed with many forums also, common sense with it's a rational. We all accept that Baba philosophy is a rational philosophy. So rightly my brother told that we need not conflict, but at least keep spreading this message. What is our view on every issue, which is rational, and we are very sure when people will hear, the mind will change. This is how I take it. Otherwise, I mean, if we'll go in that direction that it is not possible, it is possible. I think you might have heard some story also that Baba, somebody asked Baba, then finally he told, I'm taking the final words, that at least you tell people what Prout is, what Anandamarg is, and what for this philosophy is. So at least we should spread the philosophy. I think rest will follow. Thank you.
Okay, Madhusudanji.
Sure. Actually, I beg to differ a little bit with some of the others. I think this is not common sense. And I also think this is revolutionary. We look at the things that Baba has given, and it's really, if it was so easy, we'd have done it already. But what's really struck me is that this is a guideline for our own organization. Baba keeps saying, in Ananda Marga, we do this, in Ananda Marga, we do that. And then we look at Ananda Marga and we're not necessarily doing those things that Baba wanted us to do. So, for example, common ideal. Common ideal is Parama Purusha. Well, one has to do sadhana to realize Parama Purusha. And then the question is everybody doing their sadhana properly? Now, I'm not one to say, but even when Baba was here, Baba used to correct people in their sadhana, even whole timers sometimes were not doing their sadhana properly. The issue of caste-less society, Baba says no small group should have any special privileges. It's not just about caste. It's about having any kind of special privileges. In Ananda Marga, we're supposed to do that. We're all supposed to be equal socially. No capital punishment. There's a thing that we didn't read in that. Whereas Baba doesn't just say no capital punishment as we normally accept the point, but it means no corporal punishment, no physical punishment at all, including imprisonment. Nobody ever said, at least not in the last few hundred years, nobody said that. No injustice. Injustice is everywhere. We have problems, everybody should be recognized for their own qualities. And there's so many things we have to do. And fight against dogma. Nobody has fought against dogma because dogma is the foundation of just about everything. Namaskar.
Okay, I will go last. And I also felt that, this topic, in fact, is very, very, very idealistic. I mean, never in our society we have seen that, all of this come together. I mean, religion is a big kind of thing which disunites us today. So I did not see anything specifically related to religion on this one. So while it did say, did talk having a common ideal, but the kind of disunity that we see in religion is kind of very, very clear. But that's something that hopefully we can discuss. I also felt that this is kind of uh, a revolutionary idea. Is it practical? How much practical it is? How many more years will it take? Will it take like 200 years, 300 years, 400 years to kind of achieve this? So that's something that hopefully we will uncover in our future topics. I'm sure Baba he'll in kind of talk about how to go about it, because which was the question in everyone's mind, in my mind too, like how will this happen? It seems like everything is like so correct here, like everything will work. It has to be caste-less, it has to be a common ideal. I mean, the goal of Brahma, I mean, everyone accepting. So it did seem like very, very idealistic to me. I mean, so I'm just going by what I'm reading in this lecture. Like I have like full kind of fake confidence that we will have more material to read around that. The specific point I wanted to raise on the capital punishment is that Baba says in this one that the only punishment permissible in the marga is to take part is disallowing a defaulter to take part in social functions for a fixed period. So the question that came: what about criminals? Like, what if like we have like hardcore crime in Prout? So how will that be handled? So so some of those specific questions came to my mind. Okay.
Didi Srija want to say something. She has raised hand.
Yes.
Oh, yes. Sorry, somebody was at the door, so I couldn't really talk at that moment. So now the thing is, exactly what Madhusudan Dada was saying, that was what was really, going in my mind, that, it's really a guideline, this whole lectures, it gives us a guideline as to what to expect of a ideal society, and how we can really work on it factor wise, because Baba gives us such a clear idea as to what are the factors that will unify the society, and how to approach also he has given us. And now the thing is, yes, if it all works in tandem, and if it reaches that level, then it is an idealistic society. But to work towards the best form of human society, you need guidelines, you need a goal to go for. And I feel this lecture will really give us the skeletal structure as to how to approach the society, and what is to be expected of a society if it becomes the ideal society. And it's not necessarily, and Baba said repeatedly that it is not necessary that everyone falls in line. It is it is the who wants to have it will take it and move forward, and the rest will be followers. So we should not hesitate to speak to people. As said, like you say it, they take it or not, it doesn't really matter, because over a period of time, the change happens, and we should just keep moving forward with the goal in our mind. And that particular first goal, first thing that it says is the common ideal. And that seems to be the starting point today, because everybody seems to understand that that is what really everybody wants. A human, when you say that, you may not say it as Param Purusha, because then they may interpret it, but it's the common cosmic factor, which everybody seems to be realizing today. Even the hardened criminal seems to be, because when we work with prisons and things like that, even
Give
they
your
seem to
time.
want it, and that would make the point of start as such.
Sorry, Didi, to interrupt you. I think you're a little bit over time, just to manage the time here.
Okay, Madhusudanji, you have your hand up. So I just wanted to state that once Madhusudanji finishes, then we will really open it up for like the open discussion, live discussion. But go ahead, Madhusudan.
Okay, namaskar. I just wanted to add that society is nothing but a collection of individuals. And so we have to start with ourselves. This is really, I mean, social psychology starts with personal psychology. And so each one of us has to look within ourselves to see, are we following these things in our personal life? That's a guideline for Sadvipras. And Sadvipras, as Baba said, in the essence of Prout, Sadvipras are supposed to guide society. But until we can actually follow those things in our personal life, we can't begin to expect anybody else to follow.
Okay, so I think at this point in time, everyone has spoken, and so this is truly the time for a discussion now. Everyone has heard each other. So, what what are the points that we would like to further discuss? Yeah, go ahead, Sharda Devi.
Unmute, Didi.
Sorry,
Yeah.
I'm still struggling with that. If something changed in this layout, I cannot find but I think Krishna came, he didn't have a go.
Oh, yes.
But maybe I can just say something. My question is, like this discourse Baba gave in 57, and some of us were saying, oh, it's all like, somebody said common sense. I said, it's like something you can find in different, spiritual or religious paths or like that. And then Madhusudan said, oh, that's really revolutionary. You can't find it, So that's all obviously opposite point. And then I thought, actually, the many things over the last 60 something years since this discourse changed. For example, you mentioned capital punishment and corporal punishment, that I don't know whether it's in a text, but I heard recently in Scotland they're going to make it illegal for parents to how do you say, smack a child, like in England, in the UK. If you hit the child with the object, that's against the law. Like that's, I don't know for how long, but smacking is kind of allowed if child, it's not very damaged, but they're going to change that in Scotland. So any kind of corporal punishment will be for parents, they will be liable. So I think many things changed, and maybe those things were really, like in 1957 in India, quite revolutionary, and still many of them are still revolutionary today in different parts of the world. Yeah, that's enough. That's one point. I have some more, but I will give a space to somebody else.
Yeah, let's go to Brother Krishna now. He joined late, so Namaskar, Brother Krishna. So didn't know like how much you were able to hear and whom you were able to hear, but do you want to kind of share with us what you took up?
Yes, a little bit. I read the article, and it was made in 1957, the year of my birth. So it's from a Proutist perspective, it's a little bit. What do I say? Do I say dated or something? Can I say that? I'm not sure, but some of the stuff that Baba was saying was either repeated or superseded in some of the more recent lecture and discourses by Baba. And that's what I want to throw to the group. Do we go back and look at the dates and see whether they're a little less relevant today, or do we want to, like, neo-humanism is reflected there somewhat, but not fully. The lectures, recent lectures in 1982 of neo-humanism are very, very good. So I don't know. I asked the group.
Sorry, I missed the
Could you
question.
say once again? I didn't understand what you.
The date of the lecture, the discourse, 1957, right? So it's kind of dated.
57.
57, correct?
57. 57.
Yes, yes. The year of my birth. So I know.
Hmm.
So I'm not sure. The more recent article, the more recent on neo-humanism, 1982, is more specific and more detailed. So I tend to look to the more recent articles for the opinions on Prout and neo-humanism. I want to hear what the others would say about that.
So, yeah, I was just going to say that, I don't know whether, anyone has read that topic, Krishnaji. So, we are going like chronological to like, did you say that these issues mentioned in this is outdated? Did I hear that right? Or like maybe
It's
I,
not outdated, but dated. It's a little bit old.
so
Yeah, I think he's saying that, there's a more recent discourse in the 80s about neo-humanism, and some of these things are,
Prout.
yeah, yeah, and some of these things are also said in those discourses, right? That's what you're
Yes,
saying, brother.
yes, yes, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
yeah,
One
we are
more
just
thing comes to my mind. For example, when Baba is saying that working in group bring people together, So Baba is giving many examples. But that time Kirtana was not there. So
Right,
after,
right.
yeah, after nowadays, Kirtana looks to be the very powerful tool to, group the people, to bring people together. This is my perception. So that's a point we can add there.
So I don't know about this chronological approach. I don't know. I have doubts about it. What do you think?
well,
No,
I want to clearly state that this is how we would like to go, Krishnaji, but
yes,
what my
yes,
suggestion is if someone finds like a more recent topic, because when you are studying, you can share it with the group, uh,
absolutely. At
in
appropriate.
yeah, and that way we will have access to that, and then if we want to kind of discuss points from that, yes, most welcome. If you think that there is a another topic, we would love to hear from you as to what that other topic said. But going chronological has its advantages as well, kind of systematically kind of going through how he is kind of building the topics of the
Yeah,
study,
yeah, yeah.
and then a lot of it, I'm hoping that we will find like a good clear idea as to what Baba, if we read chronologically, because in the last lecture when we read, we already saw that he was talking about a harmonious society, that harmonious society has not been built. He talked about how human beings came to the earth, and then in this second topic he's already talking about some kind of structure of what that harmonious society would look like. So I think there is some method into that, but I see a lot of hands raised right now. So um, don't know who raised their hand first, but maybe, oh, there are four hands. I think we can just maybe Madhusudan. I think I may have seen your hand raised first, so go ahead.
Okay, namaskar. I just wanted to briefly, I want to repeat something I said last week, which is that I believe that Baba was preparing people in the beginning. Baba didn't, like, for example, Baba didn't give you neo-humanism in 1957 because the environment was not created, the psychology wasn't created. He had to prepare people for things so that they would understand what he was giving. So these early discourses are preparing people to understand the things that he gave later on. It's not necessarily that he was giving everything up front. He was just creating the environment, the psychological and philosophical environment that people will be able to understand the things that came later on.
Sharada Devi, you want to go next?
Yes, I have a thought on a similar line. I mean, a slightly different line, but like when you teach, when you want to teach something, let's say kids or adults, and they don't have like knowledge that you can base on, you need to approach it from the very like a wide and basic level. So if you teach in a society that has a very set norms, which India was in 57, or any other society, if he had taught some other, would have different norms, but he's talking about arranged marriages, about situation of women, about capital punishment. So it's always, you have to approach it in a way that you tell something that people will be able to understand. If you tell them immediately, like, you should be neo-humanist or whatever, that they would not be able to connect with that. And on that line, one thing that I would like to be discussing in the future is how many of the early Proutists, so early Margis, that was said on the Prout Forum on a couple of occasions, were actually coming from communist background, and how much that influenced Baba's, how to say, discourses on communism, socialism, or whatever. But that's for the future. If we have something related to that, I would be very interested to do, because that's a social psychology. You are attracted to something that you have something already for that, and the person who wants to attract you will kind of how to say, latch on it, and will talk about that you can relate to.
Okay, thank you. Didi Vinita?
Namaskar. I think it's very interesting to have the historical perspective and have this in chronological order. I think it's so interesting that so many of these issues that are mentioned in this particular reading are still the same issues we have to work on now, even though that was written, that Baba said those things in 1957. I think that's a very good perspective in saying, hey, we have a lot of work to do still. Thank you. Namaskar.
Thank you. I think the group is supporting this idea, so love it. Manavendra, please go.
My point is not related to this discourse. It is related to previous discourse. And I have some idea which I have read today in Svatjaya of Baba from Kajit Samgraha. It is second point. First, my point is about discourses on Prout and points of non-democratic revolution. In a modern version, it is cut out. And I wrote to you in private messages, Manish, that we should discuss it in our group.
Yeah, so that topic is, I think that, so if we look at the topics that we plan to cover, so we identified 12 topics from Prout in a Nutshell, Volume 1. So from those 12 topics, I think the 10th topic is what you had shared, Manavendra. So I think
We'll discuss that in that time in detail, yeah.
we just need to maybe wait, because I think there will be value to kind of discussing what Baba told previously to that topic, and then hopefully that will prepare our mind to kind of accept and understand what was given to that. So I think we should just
understand. My mistake. I thought that we have read it first discourse. I have forgot. I'm sorry. First, evolution of society. Then second is social psychology, I understand. Okay, it's 10 discourse. Okay.
And the topics, the 12 topics are in fact mentioned in the WhatsApp group. If you go to the description, you will see the list of the 12 topics. But one of the posts also has like a Word document or a screenshot of the 12 topics. So, in fact, thank you for sharing. I mean, the topic that you have shared is a wonderful topic, because I started reading it a little bit myself. But that's our topic number 10, I think. So we need to kind of discuss that.
11. It's an 11 topic. Anyway, it's okay. I have another point that I want to share. Today I have read the discourse Tantra and Influence on Society. And in this topic, Baba said that it is not very important what is the style of government, autocracy, democracy, republic, monarchy, communism, capitalism, etc. Always, the most powerful is always rule. No matter what is the kind, what the style. It's depend on pranadharma of the country, of the people, etc. But in actually, the real ruler is powerful personalities. They could be Avidya Tantrikas, like satanic Vaishyas for modern today, or Vidya Tantrikas. But actually, they are all Tantrikas, so we should practice very sincerely our Tantra. It is just very interesting point that the style it's not very important, but the most important to become powerful personality, and this is a real rule. Otherwise, it's just style. It is just interesting point I want to share with you.
Okay, thank you. Mike G, you want to go next?
Yeah, Namaskar. I think there was some discussion about capital punishment earlier, and there was also talk about criminals. So I don't remember seeing reading anywhere that criminals will be scot-free. Maybe somebody could point out to me any text of Baba where it's written. But what I understood based on reading Baba's books and also talking to many senior Margis is, first of all, there are different kinds of criminals. There are criminals who are forced into criminal activity because of the environment or because of poverty or because of circumstances. And then you have these other kinds of criminals who are born criminals. I mean, it's really hard to change them. They are born criminals. So I remember reading some place that you'll have these correctional facilities where you will have these psychologists and all, who will be dealing with these criminals. It will be like a hospital. I mean, they also need to get a second chance, even though they have committed the crime. They need to get a second chance, and we'll have to correct them through psychological approach or whatever. So, I mean, I think some of you all mentioned about criminals being scot-free or how it is going to be in a Proutistic society. So I just wanted to touch base on that. I'm sure.
Yes, Sharada Devi.
Just on the topic of criminals, I think you said that like a social exclusion from the functions would be like the only punishment that is allowed. But criminals would come under criminal law, not social law. So that would be something that like a common people wouldn't be involved with. That would be, law experts and the legal system would deal with that, I think. I just missed Manavendra's point, which I'm interested in that. What he said, what is the title of the discourse in which you read that it's not important the style of governance, but the powerful personality?
It is the book Discourses on Tantra, second part, and Tantra and Influence on Society.
So that's second volume, but there are many discourses there. Is there like one particular discourse that's mentioned? I've never heard that actually, so I'm interested to look for it.
I'm sorry.
I think
I'm
that's a
sorry.
potential.
Tantra and its effect on society.
I'm
Tantra.
sorry.
I'm
Okay.
sorry.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, Madhusudanji, please.
Yes. I just wanted to respond to Mayank's comments. Regarding imprisonment, it should be clear, Baba says imprisonment is not a punishment. Whereas in today's society, imprisonment is a punishment. And so they literally torture people. Whereas confinement may be necessary to protect society, but it's not a punishment. It should be rectification. So they should, like if somebody's confined because of some social problem or psychological problem, they should still receive all amenities and live a comfortable life as any normal person would, but they should be put through various situations where they could correct their behavior. Sort of a little bit what we do in our whole timer training program.
I see Didi Srija was trying to raise her hand a few times, so I didn't know whether she had something to say.
Do you want to?
Yes, actually, Mazun Dada has already answered that question. So he said it's for correction. The purpose is for correction. So that it will not be like criminals will go scot-free or criminals will mingle with the society. Till they correct themselves, they will be, the society will be safeguarded by having their confinement. But the priority will be bringing them, to the right path. And also, like each one would require separate treatment, so it's not like it will be a corporeal or things like that, but according to their psychology we should be able to deal with them. So the priority would be on correction rather than inflicting pain or secluding them or alienating them from society. So that would be the change that happened with the system that Baba is recommending. And that's happening very much as of today, because when we because I have had this chance of being in, visiting prisons and after having had this exposure. So it makes a lot of difference, especially to deal with people who are real hardened criminals. We can really realize that they are the ones, except otherwise where they are supported by partisan politics, and because they are there because of that. Otherwise, those criminals who are even habitual offenders, if they are not into the partisan politics, they are quite human even today. And that will be the place where this aspect of correction will really have a role to play. Another place where I found that was very much there was in the juvenile justice system, where this the priority really lies there. So I think it will make a lot of difference to think in that way in the justice system. Thank you. Baba is already getting us there.
Yeah, about criminals, Baba has dealt in detail in human society, I think. When he has dealt with the criminal by instinct, how to deal with them. So I think we should read that.
The one point that I'd like to raise is that in this lecture of Baba, he's mentioned, and he's mentioned in other places as well, that that the whole property of the earth is a common property, and then we all have to share it as if we are one family. So this thought itself, like if we look at where we are today, and then what our personal psychology is today, and then the way we are brought up to kind of thinking that the entire the earth and the property of the world is belongs to Parama-Purusha, or it belongs to a supreme entity and not to human beings, and we just have to share it. So to go to that level, I mean, obviously Prout has to be like completely spiritual. A lot of, I mean, so we have seen that, or at least I have heard in discussions, should only leaders in the Prout system be spiritual and not like, the rest of the people who will be kind of following those laws, versus the entire society itself being like spiritual to the point to be able to accept this. So I feel that since Baba, the one sentence that I liked, which was so beautiful, is that in the Ananda Marga, anything which is not rational has no place. So it really touched me, and then it said that we give so much importance to reason, and then also if something has to change, we will accept it. So is it truly possible that without having a fully spiritual society, but just imagine like having to be able to think that the entire property of the earth belongs to a supreme entity and we are here to utilize it. I mean, it seems that that path has to go through sadhana and spirituality. So spirituality is at its core there, but again, the question of how that will happen, everyone has to, I think, rigorously meditate to be able to reach to that point. So um, Sharda Devi, I see your hand up first, so please go ahead.
Just quickly, I will have to go. We have DC in half an hour. So two things. One thing is about achievement. I think everything goes in waves, progressing, so things are happening, but it's not going to be ideal so soon, I think. It will take time. So realization about that thought that everything is a common property, it's a personal realization. I don't think it can be imposed, on collective body or anything like that, or imposed to do sadhana or anything like that. And second thing, I really would like to see in the future that there are like Proutists who have expertise, for example, in law, in legal area, or in medical, area, or in education, which already exists for education, that they kind of come together and come up with some possibilities for that, legal system that will address those ideas that Baba exposed about criminals. Because I feel if you are not really in the system and you don't know and you are not dealing with that, it's quite abstract and maybe not so useful. The idea that criminals should be treated not to punish with the punishment, but with reformative action. It sounds great, but in reality of the legal system, of the prisons, of the funding for prisons and like that, that's what needs concrete like measures and detailed work on. And those only people who are involved and know something about it can make change in that. Thank you. Namaskar.
Well said. So we have Shrija Didi in the group, who is Shrija Didi, correct me if I'm wrong, a high court lawyer in the state of Tamil Nadu. Is that right?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Oh,
So that's
thank you.
how I stand.
Yeah,
Now, just to answer to those 2 points which was raised now, like Sharda Devi Didi was saying. First thing is about, how it really handles with the legal system. Basically, it will be the policy. Experts will really have to work on this, but I would say that it will naturally come into the a system that is being followed by people, if because that is why Baba is saying it's an intellectual revolution. So who the lead will be by the intellectuals. So who are the intellectuals that are today working with the society? It is the professionals. So if it really works with the professional, then the policy changes happens. And when policy is changed, then it becomes the common man's way of doing things, way of living. So then it will reach the common man. So that is why I feel Baba is saying that will be the intellectual revolution. It'll work in the that'll be the way it will work. And the other thing I wanted to say was about, getting, every man has to get to it, because Baba is talking about Manav Dharma, Bhagavata Dharma. So Bhagavata Dharma means every human should be, that is human Dharma. So if for human Dharma, there are two factors. One is spirituality, the other one is rationality. So if what is not rational is not valid in Anand Marga, because Anand Marga is based on these two factors. One is spirituality and the other one is rationality. And that is why East and the West is joining today in Anand Marga. So, because West is rational, East is more spiritual. Now the mix has happened, and that is why it's happening. Because both have realized that these two are the factors that may lift us from animality. So that will be, and this recognition will have to happen with the intellectuals, and then it will go into the masses. I think that's the route that we are on already. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you for sharing that. Madhusudan.
Yes, namaskar. We haven't discussed much about superstition, and I wanted to add something. It is my opinion that the new superstitions is conspiracy theories. And conspiracy theories become, because they're not based on rationality, they develop a new kind of dogma. And these things are dividing the society in the same way that Baba said superstitions are. And so we should be aware that, the old superstitions that Baba was talking about may have gone away, but there's new types and more and newer types of superstitions or other kinds of dogmas that are invented that tend to divide society, and even within our Ananda Marga.
Mayanji.
Sure. Yeah, I just want to add that I don't think so. At least in the current days, we are living in a capitalistic setup. It's possible for everybody to become spiritual, and maybe even in future there will always be these classes. There'll always be these people who have like a Shudra mindset or a Vaishya mindset or a Kshatriya mindset, and then you'll have these Sadvipras. So there will always be, not everybody will be evolved to the same level. We are all on evolving, but we are all different. Like not everybody will be the same. I don't think so. Everybody, at least in the near future, will all become spiritual. Yeah, maybe after hundreds of years, who knows? Like Baba has not given a timeline. There will be a point where the entire society is very spiritual. And I think he points out in some of his discourses that since thousands of years, we are at a juncture where intellect has grown so much that it is now possible probably to reach the pinnacle of spiritual success in 10 to 15 years. I remember reading this somewhere that our intellect has grown so much that if you are on that spiritual line, it will be so easy to really develop and reach that pinnacle, our goal. So it's an evolution, and everybody is different. I don't think so. Everybody will be the same, but yeah, we are evolving there. Namaskar.
Okay, Rajendra Dada, please.
First of all, rationality is a spiritual quality. So spirituality is the base. Once you are spiritual, you will be rational. That is how we take it. And another important is, unless we know much about Anand Marga, we know much about Prout, so we are talking so much, and still we feel it is not logical. First duty is, how many people, common people who are not Margis or not even heard about Prout, even think of these ideas. So first thing is, unless we spread this across, unless each human, as Madhusudan told, the society is the collection of individuals. So at least we should reach each individual to teach them. So there is a philosophy. This is called spirituality. I gave an example, the concept of world. Yesterday only, I think, World Meditation Day has been declared. But look at all articles or the very concept of United Nations. They are concerned with the stress releasing, happiness, better sleep. Beyond that, they don't know the value of meditation. So you are at a very different platform. So first thing is Baba somewhere scolding us in neo-humanism that it is we are doing the criminal things by not spreading or not telling every individual about this purpose and the mission of neo-humanism. So our responsibility becomes much higher. I gave an example of yesterday, none of the article I'll tell you that talks about real spirituality, what we understand is spirituality is. Nobody talks about spirituality expands the mind, and then what my brother Manish told, that the concept of cosmic ownership, inheritance, how it will be, unless a person is a big mind, expanded mind, unless he is all, accepting everyone as its own, it is not possible. So spirituality has to be the base. Without that, rationality will follow automatically once you are a spiritual in true sense of the term. For example, somebody was very offended that we are the dadas and didis, or so many people are there, Margi since I don't know how many years, but still you find there are many groups, there are many politics. So I take it again, Madhusudhan Dada's statement that unless we follow ditto the do and don'ts given by the master to become a spiritualist or to become an ideal person, this is not possible. Whether you are wearing what color of garbs, it doesn't matter. Whether you are following that path, that is important. And again, I'm remembering Madhusudhan told, first approach, let us be the leader for tomorrow. When you will spread this message, people who will not accept you, at least they will feel that this fellow is telling the right thing. So our job is done. He may not follow us, but at least he will realize with rationality and logic, and he will accept that the fellow is telling the right thing. That is, your job is done. So that is how it comes to my mind. Thank you.
Thank you, Dada. Okay, Sister
Can I
Vinita, next.
make
Yeah,
a mention?
we'll come to you, Shrija Didi, after Sister Vinita.
Yeah.
Namaskar. I wanted to address something that Sharada Devi said at the beginning of her last discussion entry, and that was about humans' attitudes towards the earth. In the United States, we have many Native Americans who are still following their indigenous spiritual paths, and their attitude about the earth is that the earth doesn't belong to us; we belong to the earth, and they really have a strong ethic of taking care of the earth. And a lot of this is gone into the popular culture among many other European Americans and Asian Americans, etc. And so if we can also connect with some of the indigenous people, the Native Americans, for example, in the United States, who already have a neo-humanistic attitude towards much of the earth, that would be another connection. Thank you. Namaskar.
Yes, Shrija Didi, you're next.
Oh, yes. That is very true. That Didi's statement was it's something so important that there are already there are many culture where they really identify themselves as something part of the existence, and we have to be in tandem with the universe. So identifying ourselves along with the other segments of society will be very important. And one thing I wanted to say was, like, in the practical way of getting our ideology to the younger generation. What the first thing that I have found influencing is the distinction between what makes a human distinct from an animal. So this explanation, because what has happened with capitalism is like the self-indulgence has become the priority for the present generation, because that's how the consumerism is getting promoted, and they are very much influenced because they are there now. For as if a person has crossed 50, then they have crossed that threshold. But if you look at the younger generation, they are very much there. And this consumerism, if that has to be addressed, then you have to say that you have to live beyond your physical needs. And what make you do that is because you are different from an animal. Animal has to go with the desire, but then you will be much above that. And how does that happen? The two things that distinguish an animal from a human from an animal, these are these two factors. And that is why I did mention about the spirituality and rationality. This has not been given to the generation through this generation through education, while it will be the responsibility of the older generation to give it to the younger generation, so that they will understand why they have to be so. Why do I need spirituality? This is not being addressed today among this generation. So I feel that it will be the responsibility to give it to the next generation. This answer is necessary, and then it will make a difference. And that's practically I've been doing this, and that's why I say this. Thank you.
Rajendra Dada?
Yeah, I was saying the same thing, that it is only Ananda Marga says, that is what again I'm remembering, Madhusudhan, is a revolution, that human beings just having a human frame doesn't qualify you to be called a human being. The moment people will, as Srisha Didi is mentioning, if you preach this message in the young, it is quite acceptable also if you go logically. So, I mean, people have to feel that whether I'm behaving like a human, whether I am a human. It's a very painful thing when you say that you are not behaving like a human. At the same, my just Didi, some name I'm forgetting, she told about the spirituality, the youngers are coming on a spiritual path, and it is very obvious. Any of us who are Margi, who are doing sadhana, they all accept by heart that this earth doesn't belong to us, rather we belong to, or it belongs to everyone. So this is only a spiritual quality. I'll give an example of Noah Harari. You must be today, nowadays, very famous because he's a spiritualist. So his thought process, many points will coincide with your points. So why now we are understanding that anyone who is on the real path of spirituality, their thought process, their thinking pattern will be similar. So the spirituality has to be spread as a base, and that's what Baba is telling us. Again, I'm repeating that this is a rational idea Baba has given. Our job is to spread as fast possible to the maximum people, so that, it goes in exponential. Otherwise, we are very far off. We are far behind, So thank you so much.
Thank you. We'll go to Manavendra next.
I want to point out one moment. I see that you very, very pointed about common sense, the term of common sense. The first person who uses this term is Mahesh. I also use it because it was resonated in my mind, and then I understand why. Mahesh is from Croatia. I'm from Russia. We're using Slavic language. In Slavic languages, it means healthy mind or healthy sense. It's not a sense of common masses. It means rationality. And we directly translate it to English, and we make some confusion. I'm very sorry. For example, for me, sorry, I don't know what to think of Mahesh. It is my question. I'm sorry. Common sense, I mean healthy sense. I mean healthy mind, means rational mind. It is very rational. That's really I want to say. It is obvious rationality, which means you're not crazy, you're not inadequate or something like this. So that's my opinion.
Thank you for that
Question.
clarification. Yes.
Yeah. There is a saying goes, that common sense is very uncommon. So it's a very great thing to have a
Yes.
common sense. True.
Okay, so was there any last comments? I think we did decide that we'll have a live discussion. I think we are like we will extend the time of the study circle to maybe 30 more minutes. But I think was there anything else that we want to kind of discuss? I think this was a very good discussion. I really loved a lot of the good points that have come up in this, so it benefited me a lot.
One more very important point, which I think Margavi Didi raised in the very beginning, that Baba's is very strict statement that if you want to, first you have to follow the discipline. Whatever is a frame discipline, you cannot violate and say that I want change. No. So this is a very rash. Again, I'm remembering Madhusudan. Is a very revolution. First, you have to follow in the frame, fall in the frame, and then ask for change. Just go out of the frame and ask for change, and then you are nobody. So this is a very, very authentic point, and that rule is very much, misused also in organization. That first you follow, but this is again rational.
Yeah, I think, on that same point, Baba has pointed out in some of his discourses that, especially in India, some of these, non-cooperation movements, they were sort of indisciplined. And that introduced a lot of indiscipline in society. Okay, just protest, go there. I mean, be completely make the government shut down or something, or burn down government assets or so. So that really creates a indiscipline in society, and people get used to that habit. So
Absolutely. I think I have written an article, very two-page article on the same thing, in Hindi, and I have sent for the Prout, no doubt. Baba is so rational, so clarity. One more thing, some Didi was saying that even to children, people cannot punish and all that. So there is a word which comes in Anand Marg, only very Margis can understand what Baba mean by benevolent dictatorship. Dictatorship for the good. That is what parents say. Parents don't want to see their children or, weeping, or crying. They do it irrationally to correct them. That's the sense. So the very attitude matters. What you are doing is secondary, but attitude matters. Why you are doing. So that is very important again. And Baba used to say somewhere in Dr. Shambhu Shivanand, the book somewhere I read, that Baba used to say that if you want to punish someone, the quantity of love should be much more than the quantity of punishment. So once you love a person, he will not mind even if you harm a bit for his correction or her correction. So this is a psychology goes. So you have to love people, and then only you have right to punish them or scold them or correct them. So this is Baba was very, very rational in his approach. So we should learn from him. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, I think we have to. This is a very, very good discussion, but we have to end somewhere. I'd just like to come to, I think, some of the members who may not have spoken. Was there anything like they want to share? Mahesh, yourself, or Sister Margavi, or Krishna, anything that you guys want to share? Would like to give you guys the last word before we close, if there is anything to share from your side.
I'm okay. I'm okay.
Okay, thank you.
I mostly prefer to listen, and I enjoy
Which is
hearing
good.
other people's opinions. Maybe one point, if from a perspective of maybe a younger person who kind of moves with mostly in contact with younger people. What I see, at least, in I find that young people have kind of a very materialistic point of view these days, and kind of they're have a high dose of like apathy, because when looking at today's world, especially in the West, like in US and Europe, young people today, they in some ways have it more difficult than their parents in their when they look, they will never own an apartment if they are average worker. they they have to struggle to survive month to month in a materialistic sense, just to afford food, rent, and to cover all the lively expenses, or all the normal day-to-day expenses. So um, for such people, it is they kind of this if you approach them and you start talking about them to like spirituality, all these higher ideas, uh, um, they kind of dismiss it very quickly, because they say, what are you talking about? I'm working 10 12 hours a day just to survive. So they don't have the scope to think about these more, how to say, elevated ideas. So I think we should be mindful and of that, and to approach and to present more of this materialistic point of Prout, that equitable society, um, fairer distribution of wealth, and such things. Maybe at first, especially in today's world. So we in presenting, kind of, we have to be mindful of the audience, when and kind of be a little bit cunning, maybe. Uh, so I bring this point maybe because it wasn't kind of mentioned a lot, maybe, during this discussion.
I think you have made such a beautiful point and a very nice point. In fact, I remember that last week when we were reading about the evolution of society, it was read somewhere that at that early age when human beings were developing and there wasn't much available in terms of a safety security net, and it was written that circumstances were not conducive for human beings to develop their intellect or to tread the path of self introspection. So, with what you have said, exactly, like after all these kind of years, I think the situation is still the same. That the external environment isn't like conducive for anyone to kind of be able to explore, right? I mean, it's an exploration. It's not a dogma. You don't have to start meditating only after you accept something higher, or whatever you call it. It's science, so you explore. It's a hypothesis. So, but I so much agree with you that the circumstances are still not so conducive, even in today's modern society, with so much technology around, but so that's why clearly the need to be able to create that conducive environment is like so much necessary. So I kind of completely kind of agree to what you said. Great point made. Okay, so I think we
Just
will
to
have to stop here. Yes.
just to complete that part of the thought, I would just say that it should be a two-pronged approach, like how Baba's given it. He says that individually you have to be spiritual, but collectively you have to address the economic part of it too. So that is the society that can talk. So that's a part of the society should also be together be evolving, rather than individually you may talk because a person is stressed, fine. He has to do sadhana, that can be the alternative, but he will not have the time. For that also we are helping you. So that it should come from the society. So there should be, the leaders should come from there. And then what happens? Okay, there is an alternative from both sides, individually as well as collectively. When that evolves, that is why Baba is pushing for the Sadvipra leadership. So both should come together. So that is when this start. We will be seeing the effect of it on the younger generation. So just to close that with that note, it's a very positive thing that Dada has brought this to our discussion, and there is much scope in Anand Marga for that. The answer for that lies there. Thank you.
Okay, with that, we have to close now. I think this was a much
Thank
better
you.
session. Yeah, hopefully than last time. So next week, we do plan to meet unless, we have to
What will
kind
be the topic?
The topic for next week will be Ananda Marga, a revolution. And that will be sent, so I'll send it today. And then, we will meet as a group on this. I read this topic a little bit. So what we have discussed today, it's truly a very, very good continuation. Baba raises a lot of those points, but also he gives some insights as to, how it could be done, which was, the question in a lot of our minds. So it's again a very nice topic. So we'll discuss that next week. Okay, thank you so much, everyone, for joining and making this, so productive, so fruitful. It's a very, very nice discussion. Hope everyone keeps joining, and we'll see everyone next week. And if there is any suggestions, please feel free to use the WhatsApp group, to share, or maybe reach out to me as well. So we are kind of happy to adjust as we need. Okay, thank you so much, everyone. Namaskar. Namaskar.